Okay, so Kevin, the Manchester United fan, in favour of getting rid of Fernandes and Rashford as well, Cass. And there's a really interesting piece in the Daily Mail today from Graham Souness. And, you know, he never holds back, does Graham. And he is talking about the future of Bruno Fernandes. He says his future must be on the line. He has become a liability. That's quite strong.
Yeah.
Is he a liability?
No, I wouldn't go that far. I think he's had a disappointing season this year. But if you look at his record and assists, you know, goal record is 1 in 3. He's got a good number of assists. I thought he played a big part in the FA Cup final for Manchester United when they beat City. He played a different role. It's a tough one because he's 30 years old and he signed a contract to 2027.
Right.
You know, so you've got another big issue with finance. Whoever comes in, that would be a brave call, because one thing the thing that I wouldn't like about him is he's a talented lad. He can get goals, he can create chances, he's very gifted on the ball. You could sometimes say he's not so important in big games or doesn't play the part of a big time player. I think he's not very good without the ball. And I think that ticks into a lot of the boxes that some Man United players are not particularly good at retrieving the ball. And with a pressing game and teams that play with high intensity, that he would suffer a little bit more because he doesn't. And he makes these hyper challenges that are not very well timed. That got him for the send. I didn't think it was a sending off, but he got a send off. So that would be my issue with him. But it's a brave call because he's the club captain as well.
Well, listen, it's never easy to take the captaincy off a player because it is a big deal to be a captain for a lot of players. They love that elevated status. There are clearly question marks over whether or not he is suitable as a captain when you look at some of his behaviours. I mean, this red card, the latest one, the third one of this season, and we're not even halfway through.
So here's one. On what you're just saying there, like, how many number 10s now in the modern game, especially in the Premier League, do you sort of see as making a massive impact? You've got to be athletic,
Well,
but
depends.
Madison's done okay at times.
Cole Palmer's playing as a 10, isn't he?
Plays a 10, but he gets around the pitch.
Yes, I was going to say it's a bit
more
fluid,
if you're number 10 that gets around the pitch and can make, sort of challenges defensively for the team as well. But having a number 10 that doesn't add anything to your team when you haven't got the ball, it seems to come at a cost.
But would it be more advisable maybe to take the captaincy off him, which is a big decision?
I don't know if he's got the personality to take that.
Really? So you think that would be an issue in itself? Yeah,
I think the reaction of him in many scenarios isn't particularly good. You look at him, and I don't expect him to be happy to be taken. But do you remember the Liverpool game when he
wanted to come off?
When he wanted to come off, and I'm not sure it'd work with.
But that's what I mean, though. I mean, he clearly, in terms of understanding what a role of a captain, you could ask questions of that because of his behaviour, because of when they're being hammered by one of their rivals and local rivals at that he wants to come off. He doesn't want to stay on and fight and show the pride in his shirt. There are times as well when he is throwing his arms up in the air and you're thinking, well, is this the kind of image you want to be showing to your younger players, that this is how you behave? Yeah. Now, I understand what you're saying. It is a big decision to take a captaincy off someone, but maybe it's the right decision to make because he isn't the natural leader in that team. I don't even know who is the natural leader. Obviously we don't know what he's like in the dressing room at half time and full time. We don't know. That's true.
It's a big call, but big calls need to be made at Manchester United. It's not now for the little. The problem is at the football club that sometimes develops is that there are a number of issues. It's which ones you tackle first. Well, obviously you must tackle the biggest problems first. If he's deemed as one of the biggest problems, like Rashford has been alluded to in recent weeks, then you have to do it. You have to deal with the biggest decisions at the football club. And sometimes it'll be an unpopular one. But Bruno's 30 now.
Yeah.
You've got to think of a different direction at the club. And I don't know, it seems like calls have got to be made that might be unpopular.
So do you think they should sort of cut ties with Fernandes?
Well,
it's not easy to do, like you say. He's got a lengthy contract. It means someone's going to have to pay, and
it's going to be difficult.
The wages are another issue in itself.
The only thing I would say, if you do decide that you can go with him and you have to have legs around him and legs that can win the ball back, and it's got to be a dynamic midfield. And yes, Mainu can sort of do it. Casemiro can't, in my opinion.
So does that mean he's a luxury player at this moment in time?
You carry him at times, yeah, you do.
Which United don't need at this present moment, in the sense of where they are on the table, the constant battles it feels that they're in.
They carry a few at times. You take the Wolves performance.
Yeah.
You look at that game, in an isolated game, you'll be going, three or four of these, we're carrying. Whether it's him or whether it's Anthony, and look, he's again the player that's been in and out of the team and not developed. I mean, I've said to you all along, United shouldn't be signing strikers like Højlund. He should be waiting in like third or fourth in the queue to have a chance. He'd have to show him what he can do coming off the bench. But when he's fit, he's probably first choice.
Of the two, though, it's obvious that it seemed anyway with Ruben Amorim that he's preferring Fernandes over Rashford. So if anyone's going to go, it's more likely to be Rashford at this present moment.
Yeah. Well, I think they've got a double whammy, which is how do you get them off the books without it being expensive to United?
Yeah.
And one that is delivered with, like I said, he's a 1 in 3 goal man from playing that number 10 role. They're big calls.
There are a number of players who are going to be out of contract come the end of the summer, or come the summer, I should say. We've obviously spoken a fair bit already about Trent, Salah and Van Dijk at Liverpool. Kevin De Bruyne is one. Chris Wood at Forest. And also the Tottenham captain, Son Heung-min.
Yeah.
Where do you see all those futures? Can you see any of them sticking around?
Yeah, they'll all get offered deals of some sort, whether they'll be at the clubs they're at now. I don't think Son will stay at Spurs.
No?
I think there will be... No, I don't. I think it's one of them that you've got to make a big call on as well. He's been brilliant for them over the years, but there's time to move on in football sometimes. I think Chris Wood... Forest will try and give him another year because he doesn't rely on pace.
Yeah.
You're talking about a player that never has to think about, he's lost half a yard. It doesn't matter if Chris Wood loses half a yard. If you've got Alanga one side and Anson the door the other, and Morgan Gibbs-White joining him, and Elliot Anderson joining him as well, you don't really need to worry about that. He could do another year, no problem. So I don't see that as an issue. What was the other one? De Bruyne. Well, De Bruyne fit, of course you keep him. It's whether he's fit. And again, it's another big call for Manchester City because if it's a fit Kevin De Bruyne, then you've still got one hell of a talent. He still won't lose his ability to pass the ball. Again, but they look a team a little bit like Manchester United. They're running out of legs on the pitch in many different positions.
Yeah. I mean, some of these players might have options to extend. I think Son has one, certainly. Of an extension possibly that could be triggered by the club. It's just whether they decide to do that.
He will survive, or they would definitely keep him if he had a second part of the season that was superb.
Yeah.
If he has that season where, it hasn't really worked to now, and then he goes and gets 15 or 12 goals in the second part of the season, plays well, then Tottenham will probably use that option. But as it is today, I think it's more likely that he could go.
All right, an interesting, second half of the season to come with a number of players out of contract, with the January window to come as well. We'll keep you updated on everything that happens.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.